I want to chat about the Menendez brothers because someone just brought it up. It is a huge week this week for the Menendez brothers. If you have followed their story, then you kind of know what's going on right now. If not, I will do a recap and we will get into it. If you were just joining, I am currently making the cottage cheese bagels. So yes, I'm going to squirrel a little bit because you know me, I can't do two things at once, but we will try. Okay. Welcome everybody to our live this morning. And we're going to get into the Menendez brothers while we are cooking. Okay. So Menendez brothers story. If you do not know the story, I have a folder, a playlist on my page titled Menendez brothers. You can go check it out. Or I highly recommend watching the Menendez brothers documentary on Netflix. Now, there's a few Menendez brothers shows out there. There are the ones endorsed by the family and the ones that aren't. And let's do a little chit chat about that for a sec first. So there is one out right now that's been out for a while called Monsters, the Menendez brothers story. And the family did not like that one. So they didn't like, oh God, sorry. They didn't like the way the boys were portrayed at certain times. And they didn't like, I don't think, that certain theories got brought up. Some of the theories are gross, but it was important to the Monsters creator that all the theories get presented. Like one of them was that Eric and Lyle had an incestuous relationship. They say that's not true. It insinuated that Eric had a relationship in prison. They say that's not true. So there were just things that happened in the series that they were very upset about. And rightfully so, right? Like they want the story told their way, which to them is the truth. So the Monsters director just wanted all avenues covered, I guess we'll say. But here's the scoop of this. So the Menendez brothers, Eric and Lyle, were, oh God, guys, help me out here, 18 and 21 when this happened, correct? Drop it in the comments if I've got the ages wrong. Okay, 18 to 21. So Eric is the younger and Lyle is the older. And Lyle always thought Eric was the favorite. And I think that Eric thought Lyle was the favorite. It was a really odd relationship in that household. And the reason the boys say it is because they have accused their father, Jose, of molesting them. And they went into detail about exactly how that happened and what happened to them. And so in the documentary on Netflix, they go into details about this and what exactly happened. And Monsters does as well. But like I said, Monsters also comes out and gives different versions and different perspectives of the situation as well. So I actually, and I feel bad saying this because I know the family is against it, but I actually enjoyed the Monsters series only because it showed all the different perspectives and all the different theories, and I liked that. As long as people know that it was fiction and nonfiction. Like it was made for theatrics. It was made for TV. It was not just focusing on facts and the case. It was kind of, it's made for a movie, right? Like it's using theatrics and exaggerating certain situations and things. And as long as you know that, then I think it's okay to watch it, if you know what I mean. So, hold on, I just got a parchment paper. While we're chatting about the Menendez brothers, I am making the cottage cheese bagels. And there we go. Trying to do two things at once here. All right, so I feel like even though the family was against that Netflix special, I really liked it. And I really enjoyed the director of Monsters. And I thought the two men who portrayed Eric and Lyle were fantastic. I think they did such a good job. I think all the actors did such a good job with such a sensitive topic. But okay, let's get into the Menendez brothers situation. So the Menendez brothers were 18 and 21. One evening, they end up going into their family home with rifles, like shotguns, and killed their parents. They shot them in cold blood in their TV room, and basically didn't say that they did it, and were kind of living the high life after that. Before they got arrested, they were staying in fancy hotels and spending lots of money, and it didn't make them look very good. However, they were 18 and 21 and had just killed their parents, and I don't know how someone would react or act in that situation. So they eventually get arrested. It comes out that they had done this, and through the course of their trial, it comes out that their father had been molesting them. And the situation that they shared is awful. Some people, unfortunately, thought they were lying and making things up. People have accused Lyle and Eric of faking emotions on the stand. I think if you watch the trial, you know that that is absolutely not the case. Unless they are like superstar actors. I feel like it was legit. They had numerous family members come out and support their claims. So they went on trial. They had a rock star lawyer who did everything to try and defend them. And the trial, they were tried together. The trial ended in a hung jury. Like, they couldn't make a decision. The men all said guilty, and of the jurors, and the females said not guilty. Kind of interesting, right? And if you remember, back in the 80s and early 90s, it was not talked about if you were a male and were taken advantage of or abused in any way. Like, that was just, that did not happen to men. So a lot of people think that's why the jury voted or whatever the way they did, was the men just couldn't wrap their hands around this being the way it was. So they get on the stand and they tell their side of the story. So basically, their father groomed them from a young age and kind of started everything off with Lyle, the oldest son. And they would watch him shower together. It started off, little things as always, touching, stuff like that. And then it got bad. And Lyle eventually tells his father, like, enough's enough, stop. And his dad did. And Lyle thought it was just over. But what it turns out is that he didn't stop. He just started doing it to Lyle's younger brother, Eric. So this is all from the boy's perspective, right? So Eric is now being molested and Lyle doesn't know it's happened. And what the boys claim is Eric finally confessed to his brother when they were 18 and 21 what Jose had been doing to Eric. And Lyle, being the older brother, lost his shit, and the two of them got guns and killed their parents. And there's insinuations that Kitty, the mother, also had a hand in things as well. Also that she knew about it and didn't stop it and things like that. So there's a lot to this. So all of this is presented in trial. Now, I can't remember all the numbers because I don't have my research notes here, but they had something like, I don't even know, like 250 witnesses or something like that when they went to trial for the first time. And the prosecution, so the people that were trying to convict them of murder, didn't have even one witness to say that Jose Menendez was a kind, good man. Like, not one. So that says a lot. And in the new documentary out, she admits that. Like, she says, it said a lot that I couldn't find even one witness to come out and say that Lyle was a good person, right? Like, not good. So anyway, so they go through this whole trial. It's an absolute shit show. It's just horrifying, the things that they admit and talk about. It's very emotional. They share everything. They have all these witnesses. They have family members that take the stand saying that they suspected or they knew or the boys had told them. Like, just a ton of evidence that this happened to them. And I'm just making cottage cheese bagels, guys, while we're chatting. Anyway, a ton of evidence that this took place. And like I said, it ended in a hung jury. Now, here's where things get really shitty. So during the trial, Lyle meets this woman and they start an online and in-person relationship just as a friendship. It was never, they weren't dating or anything. She was just, a woman who was acting like she cared about him, that she was interested in his story. And it turns out that she recorded and then published everything he had told her in confidence. So he's on there sharing all of his heartfelt emotions with this woman, thinking what he tells her is safe and, just between the two of them. And he's telling her things like, he wouldn't tell someone else. Hi, guys. Hi, Kate. Happy Sunday to you too, guys. So he's sharing all of these intimate details, and then she publishes it. And it sounded so bad, you guys. Like, you can imagine if you're on trial, the things you would confess to a friend or say to a friend or vent to a friend. So it came out that it was twisted and it just sounded really bad for him. So now what's happened is Lyle now looks like this lying, immature dirtbag, basically. So because it was a mistrial, a hung jury, they had to go to trial again. But now they didn't want to put Eric on the stand because he had this all hanging over his head, right? Like he looked bad. So they ended up, I know. So they ended up not putting Eric on the stand, and his testimony in the first one was a lot. Like he had shared everything that had happened to him in a very emotional way, and he wasn't allowed to share that. So that was one of the big problems. The second problem was the judge in the second case. Like, look at, this is when you roll out the cottage cheese bagels, how mucky it is. So the second issue was when they went to the second trial, for some reason, the judge decided that he was not going to let in all of the sexual abuse allegations. So he really, hampered, put a mask, muted their side of the story. Like he did not let a whole bunch of, sorry guys, itchy nose, a whole bunch of their witnesses come forward. So they didn't have all the witnesses in the second trial that they did in the first trial, which changes the whole dynamic, right? Like changes their whole defense. So they weren't allowed all their witnesses. Anytime they started bringing up the sexual abuse, they kind of got shot down. So the jury didn't get to hear kind of all of the situation they were under. Now, here's another problem. According to the jurors, when they went through the trial, they didn't have any choice but to find them guilty because they did do it, right? Like it was murder, and they admitted to doing it. So they had to find them guilty, but the problem came with the sentencing. The only option they had for sentencing was death or life in prison without parole. So the jury had no choice but to give them life in prison without parole because they didn't want to kill them. They thought, these boys had been through a lot. They believed that, but there was no other route for them to go. They were guilty, so they had to give them life in prison without parole. So now this was, oh God, guys, how many years? 30. How many years have they been in prison, guys? Drop it in the comments. Is it 36 years? Hey, cat dog. Oh, thank you so much, cat. 36 years? Okay. Oh, we're seeing since 1989. That's nuts, guys. Okay, I think it's 36. So they've been in prison for 36 years without the chance of parole. And so what ended up happening is, let me think of the date. Now, again, I don't have my notes handy, so I'm ballparking some of this, but I believe it was in 2015. One of the cousins of the Menendez brothers testified that Eric had written him a letter telling him everything that Jose had done to him when he was little. Unfortunately, at the time, the cousin didn't know where the letter was. He didn't find the letter. And the cousin has since passed away. What has happened is, I believe it was a storage locker. After the cousin passed away, the mother, so the aunt, ended up finding this letter, which is huge evidence for the boys, right? And because it was before the murders, and it's showing, context to what they're saying. So she ends up finding the letter, she gives it to the lawyer, and they start filing paperwork to see if they can get the sentence reduced or changed. The sentence changed, I guess. Now, in the meantime, what other information came out was, sorry, I just got to rinse out this stuff or it'll dry like cement. One of the other things that came out was that Jose Menendez was a representative for the Menudo band. Now, the Menudo was huge, very popular, and it was a boy band. And he managed them. And what ended up coming out is one of the members of Menudo accused Jose Menendez of drugging and doing awful things to him while he was drugged. And this was supposedly at the Menendez brothers' home one night when he was either staying with them or visiting with them or visiting on business trip or whatever it was. But he came forward the last few years and said, this is what Jose Menendez did to me. So both of those things are huge in the case for the Menendez brothers because it shows what Jose Menendez was actually like, right? Hold on, I'm just going to put these in the oven. All right, hold on. I'm coming to you guys. We're going to sit on the couch and get more comfy while we wait for the timer to go. Okay, so he comes forward. I'm sorry, look at these babies. Can you see my boys? Look at these two. So stinking cute. Curled up on my blankets. Hold on, guys. What time is it there? For me, it is 10 after 11. And I am Atlantic time zone in New Brunswick on the East Coast. All right, hold on. My cats are hogging the couch. Okay, so yes, so this member from Menudo comes forward and tells his story of what he says happened to him. So their lawyer puts together a package, presents it, and it's been years in review. And what ended up happening is the judge ordered, I apologize if I say these legal terms incorrectly, but the judge ordered that the district attorney review it and then give his 2 cents to the judge. Like the judge was like, okay, you look at this, see if I need to look at it. So what ends up happening is last year, the district attorney who is about to run for re-election decides to finally start talking about this case. And I think it's a make or break election case is my opinion. And that's probably why he started talking about it. But it's all over the news. He's all over the news. It's right in the middle of his election time. And he ends up saying, yes, I think they deserve this looked at. So he puts forward his recommendation, and what he recommended, and I hope I get this correct because again, I don't have my notes with me, but what he recommended was that the brothers hold on, let me get this right. The brothers' sentence, yes, be changed. So instead of having life in prison without parole, that they switch it to life in prison with parole. I believe I have that correct. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I believe that was his recommendation. Someone's on here saying, she's a Blake Lively supporter. Dude, your profile picture is Miss Piggy and your title is I'm a nasty cat. I'm just going to block. Hold on, guys. Oh my God, people kill me. Okay, back to it. So, there, I think I blocked it. There we go. People are nuts. Anyway, so yes, so he gave the recommendation and it goes to the judge. So they get super excited. Everybody who's followed this case gets super excited. Everybody's thinking they may have a chance of getting out. So what would happen is if it's commuted to life in prison, then they have a chance to go in front of the parole board and plead their case and possibly get out early and actually get out in general and not be, in prison for the rest of their life. So it goes to the judge. The judge sets a date for trial for them. But in the meantime, like I said, there's an election happening with the DA's office. So a new DA gets elected and the new DA is like, I don't know if I'm going to recommend that or not. So he ends up taking it back. And it was a big hit for them last year. Now, there was a bunch of extensions and stuff. Like everything was just not going their way because of the California fires and just a bunch of stuff. But the new DA came out and said, no, I don't think that this should happen. I don't think that their sentence or their charge should be changed. And it's extremely sad because literally all of their family except 2 people were backing them on this, saying, we want this fixed. And one of the people that was saying, no, it shouldn't, has actually passed away. I believe it was an uncle, and he just passed away a few months ago, or a few weeks back, actually. So what has happened now is their lawyer has also filed paperwork to have their charge changed. So now I can't remember exactly what it is, but instead of murder, they're trying to change it to manslaughter or something. They're trying to do that as well as change the actual sentencing. But they also applied for clemency with the governor of California. And what that means is the governor can dismiss them. The governor can say like, okay, yeah, peace out. So what the governor has said is he's going to wait to hear from the judge before he makes a decision. But when the new DA came out and said, I'm not going to recommend this, which of course was a huge blow to the boys, they're men now. The governor came out and said, I want to do a parole review of this or whatever. So what would happen if they got their charges changed anyway, their sentencing changed anyway, is they would have to go in front of the parole board. The governor made it so they have to go in front of the parole board anyway, which is huge news for them. That was like a huge win that they were going to have the governor on their side, which kind of showed the governor was leaning more maybe to clemency if he had to. But they just had another huge win this week in court because the judge who took on all of this paperwork from the new DA said no. So the new DA was like, no, I don't think we should change anything. Think we should just leave it as it is, drop it, whatever. The judge ruled that he didn't agree. So he's not taking the DA's recommendation and they're still going to get to go to court and plead their case. Now, when they went to jail, they have basically been exceptional citizens in jail. They had a couple marks on their account or whatever you want to call it, a couple strikes, or I don't know the terminology for it, but it was, little minor things in prison. They have never caused any trouble. They have been model citizens. They have started foundations. Lyle has his own foundation to support boys who have been assaulted. They've done so much. They've done, they have a program as well for like, I don't know what it's called, but it's basically like improving the prison system, like having more garden space and outdoor living and, kind of things like that. Like they've just done a bunch to try and better themselves. They've also done schooling and counseling and, they've done whatever they could in prison. So my opinion on this is they've served 36 years in prison. I think what they did was awful. I think they deserve to go to prison for killing their parents, even if they were assaulted the way they were. There was, other things they should have done, unfortunately. So I do think that was wrong, and they did need to be held accountable for that. But I think that time is well over what was, acceptable for what they did. I don't think they should have served 36 years. I think the sentence should have fit the crime for what they went through as a child and as adolescents and young men. But it is what it is. They got the sentence that they got. There's no changing that now. But I think they should be released now. I think they've been in prison for 36 years. That in Canada is a life sentence. And I think now they should be released and hopefully they have been rehabbed enough that they can, live a good life on the outside. Now, Eric is married. He's married to Tammy Menendez and he has been married since he basically got into prison. He married her and they've been together ever since. She was previously married and had children with two other men. And the youngest child of hers considers Eric Menendez her father. She calls him dad. She runs social media accounts supporting him. She wants him out. Lyle was also married. Unfortunately, that did not work out. And Bonnie, thank you, darling. We're halfway through the live goal. Thank you, sweetheart. Unfortunately, that did not work out. And it was not the best look for Lyle. He gets himself into these situations. But a little while ago, it came out that he was dating someone less than half his age. And then it came out that he was, that he had left his wife, and people thought that he was cheating. But then his wife came out and said that she knew about this and supported it. We don't know if she just loves him and she's saying this to kind of save his reputation, or if it is actually true. It's not a good look for him. But I mean, he's been in prison since he's 21 years old. Like, what can we expect, right? And you can't have, in my opinion, a legit relationship with someone when you're in prison. Like, it's so much worse than a long distance relationship. Like, it's got to be so hard. So the fact that Eric and Tammy are still together is huge. So, I mean, kudos to them for making it work, and hopefully they can make it work on the outside. But as for Lyle and his wife, they are done. He has been with someone else, and I can't see that lasting with the age difference. But anyway, okay, I'm coming to the comments, guys, because I didn't get to see anything you guys are posting here. My uncle was Lyle's prison guard, and he says they did it for the money and they were not SA'd. A lot of people think that. I don't think that. I don't think two men could shoot their parents the way they did only for money. I don't believe that. I think there has to be a lot of trauma involved in your life to be able to do that. They were 18 and 21 years old. It's not like they lived this life of, horrible crime and whatever. They got in trouble for breaking and entering into some friends' houses when they were younger, but that was about it. They had never done something like this before. I don't think they were, psychopaths or anything. I think they legit were abused. That's just my opinion, but thanks, CA. I don't see that. I think they had enough and their mother was as bad as their father. Yeah. Can the judge give them time served? Yes. So what's going to happen when they go to court? The judge has a few options. The judge can say to them, okay, you guys have been in prison for 36 years, time served, you're released. And it's going to take a while. They're not going to get out that day. But yes, they can say that. He can also say, let's reduce your sentence from life in prison to life in prison with parole, and I'll let you go in front of the parole board, and then leave it up to the parole board to decide. He can say, you've done 36 years. I'm going to say at 40 years it's done. Or like he's got all the power. He can make the decision, and the parole board will be huge for them as well. Like, they're going to have to go in front of the parole board. But I believe the parole board is going to see what's going on. They're going to have all of these witnesses, including prison guards and prison staff, that want to come forward and speak on their behalves because of how exceptional they've been in prison, as well as almost their whole family who is rallying and has rallied behind them since the moment this all started. So it's going to be huge. They might get sent to an open prison. Getting immediate freedom would be tough for them. And hopefully they've got, which I do think, they have a lot of support when they get out. If they do get out, they have so much family that's supporting them. And like I said, Eric is married. Lyle has a girlfriend. I don't know what's going to happen with them, but if it's time served, they don't have to go in front of the parole board. I'm not sure. I've heard both for that. I've heard that if the judge says time served, that after all the paperwork and stuff is done, they can be released. But someone else has said that they still have to go in front of the parole board, but I can't say for sure. I'm not familiar with the legal system for this. How old are they now? So this was, guys, what was this? 1986? And they've been in prison for 36 years. So Lyle was 21. So he is 47. And Eric would be 45. Is that correct, guys? 1989. Thank you, guys. Time served is no parole board. I was just released 1 year ago tomorrow. Natasha, congratulations. So time served is no parole board. Doesn't Lyle's girlfriend live in a different country? I don't know where she lives. Is this judge the same judge the entire time? How do they elevate bias since it's so well known. No, it is not the judge that sentenced them when they were younger. 54 and 57, is that what they are? Is there a court date yet? It's this week. Make sure you hit follow, guys, because I will definitely be updating on this. It's going to be so interesting to see what happens. The judge believes them, I think. I kind of think that as well, Cloud, because that he turned down the new district attorney's recommendation and he's moving forward with the trial. I feel like he sees what actually happened as well. What day? Do we have a channel and a time? Guys, what day is the trial? Is it the 14th? Oh, thanks, Ree. I can't wait for this. And Diddy's. Yeah, West Coast Diddy's is going to be an absolute gong show. Oh, Sam says it's the 17th and 18th. So what is that? That is Monday's the 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th. So is it Thursday and Friday? Is it Thursday that it starts? What do you think will happen? I think they're going to get out. I think it's going to be time served. Okay, thanks, guys. Thursday and Friday. It's the 14th for me right now. Thursday and Friday. It's Thursday and Friday, guys. Thursday it starts. So we will be on here Thursday watching like a hawk. And Court TV, any of the mainstream media outlets will be streaming this. It's going to be huge. The same judge since the case has been relooked at. Oh, Kayla, yes, I believe so. I hope they get out. Guys, I think they're going to. I think the judge sees what's going on. I think the public sees what's going on. I think it's thanks to social media that this case is where it is, as well as the Monsters documentary on Netflix. I think that has a lot to do with the fact that they were out or not out, but that they have the possibility of getting out. I think that we need to thank the creator of that for bringing it back in the spotlight. Monsters was atrocious and full of lies. Dylan, I know the family had issues with it. My theory or thinking of Monsters is this. I feel like it was for theatrics. I think it was not an actual documentary. I think it's like a fiction, nonfiction mixed together kind of thing. And as long as people look at it like that, then I think that they will realize it is not an exact replica of what their case was. They wanted to present all of the perspectives, and I kind of see how they did that. And they dramatized it. Dramatized it. Am I saying that right? They added a bunch of dramatics and exaggerated and added in certain situations for effect, and the family was not happy. How does the jury get chosen since there may be lots of bias since so much info on social media? They interview them like crazy. Everybody gets interviewed and then eliminated and brought in. And yeah, they'll try and find as many unbiased jurors as they can. I know everybody's like, timer. We will only know how they get on when they are released. Yeah. Can I watch court in the UK? I think so, Libby. You should be able to. It's on YouTube especially. Hold on, guys. The timer went. Oh, gosh. There we go. Monsters was a take, and they gave you a couple of different scenarios of what could have happened. Yes, exactly. Thanks, Claire. When does the trial start? Thursday, Trish. Thursday, which is crazy. Hi, Sass. Guys, if you're just joining, I will upload this live to my YouTube channel if you missed it. And my YouTube channel is The Recap with Julie, or you can just go in. There's a link in my bio to take you right there. Court TV will most likely stream live. That's what I'm thinking too. What is Julie cooking? I was making those cottage cheese bagels, but I don't put the hole in the middle. I don't make them bagels. I just make them biscuits. Easier. What if people lie? It must be so tricky. Also, is it a new jury each time? Totally tricky, Kayla. It'll be a new jury for this round. Were the boys ever given a lie detector test, or were those things back then? I don't know if they were given a lie detector test or not. I don't recall, but they're not really admissible in court anyway, so. Do you think the judge will say time served even with the parole board being set already on the 13th? Yes, I do. I think so. I shouldn't say that. I hope so. I think that's what should happen, but he may just go with the parole board. He may just adjust their sentence to parole, but we'll have to see. On what app do you all use for court TV? I use YouTube. I don't know what other people watch it on, but I watch it on YouTube. He has to, though. They did their time. I agree. Yeah, I think 36 years is more than enough time. I hope he doesn't leave it to the parole board. I know, Lisa's same. When will this happen? On Thursday, guys. We're going to watch it on Thursday. Kim K visited them a while back, and I know she was looking into the case. She wasn't looking into their case as much as she was looking into prison reform, and she went to the place where they were and interviewed a bunch of people, and they were two of the people there. And then she posted about their case and was like, I hope this gets looked into. I have to remember to watch live Thursday. I know. Yes, I'm definitely going to be watching. Are the brothers in the same prison or allowed to see each other? The brothers were actually separated at first, and they were separated for something like 15 years. Like, it was awful. They were in two different prisons. They could only write to each other. They ended up playing, I think it was like chess or something, through the mail. They'd play games through the mail with each other. And then finally, Lyle got moved to Eric's prison, but not in the same unit. And then he got moved into the same unit. So they're actually back together. They've been back together now for a few years. Yes, they're in the same facility now. Was it 22 years they were separated? Are they cellmates? I'm not sure if they're cellmates or just in the same section. Hi, Surfer Girl. What's up, Kim? Okay, those bagels are going to beep again in a sec, guys. What happened? Just got here. We were reviewing the Menendez brothers case. It's going to be Thursday that they're going to trial to see if they're going to be able to have parole and get out of prison. Hello, Nova Scotian. How you doing, Kens? Okay, guys, we need to clear this live goal. The live goal tonight was the new dandelion with butterflies. It was super cute. We need 2 more. If someone can send 2 more and clear that, it would be awesome. Jerica! Hi, darling. How are you? Guys, it's been so long since I've been on. Do you believe they should be free? I do. Yeah, Shanta, I completely think they should. Trisha! Just as the timer goes. We need 1 more, guys. 1 more dandelion. Not tonight. Today, you mean, Julie. Well, what did I say? Trish coming in to take out the goal. Trisha, thank you so much. Tanya, you're in Amherst? Tanya, I have a cottage that I go to every summer in Malagash. Too funny. Did they not get out of prison? Not yet. It's this week, guys. We're going to have trial this week. Okay, hold on. The timer's going. All right, because you guys were with me the whole time I made those, I got to show you how good they turned out. Okay, let's see if I can get this on. Look! Ignore my dirty stove. Don't they look delicious? These are the cottage cheese. Oh, yeah. Oh, they're perfect. They're the cottage cheese bagels that everybody's been making. I just don't make them as bagels because why do we need a hole in the middle, right? It's my theory.